Hi, I'm Tim Clark with Terlato Wines. I'm the wine educator here at Terlato. We're outside today, which is a lot of fun for me to be out here to talk to you about wine and cheese. We've selected 4 wines to discuss with a really beautiful selection of cheeses. Here at our offices, we are constantly looking at the way food and wine interact with one another, and one of everyone's favorite combinations are certainly great cheeses and great wines. We're going to start today with our Greystone Chardonnay. One of the things that I love to teach people about are the way that and I'll try to simplify this, but it could be very complicated, food and wine, but it doesn't need to be. Some people feel there shouldn't be any rules, and some people feel there should be rules. There are things that work and there are things that don't work. And so Chef Colin and I sat down this morning and we tasted through all of these wines and these cheeses together, and we came up with some ideas for you. So basically, quite simply, white wines are structured by acidity. So the vibrant, crisp style of white wines, whether it's Pinot Grigio or Chardonnay or Sauvignon Blanc. Red wines typically are structured by tannin, especially Cabernet Sauvignon. But today we're going to talk about Pinot Noir, Merlot, and Zinfandel, typically a little bit lighter, softer style of red wines. Then, when you're matching food and wine together, you can think of just 2 things, opposites and parallel. And so I'll give you an example in the first case here with this Greystone Chardonnay. We thought it would be interesting to pair it with the Gruyere and the Brie. And so that's kind of a point-counterpoint. So you're looking at Gruyere, which is typically a crumbly cheese that is sometimes used for shaving into, or melting, and has a very piquant flavor, and is a little bit sort of acidic. And so the wine picks that up, and it worked really well in a sort of a parallel way. An opposite combination is the other one. So Brie is a triple crème. So when you take a bite of that, it melts on your palate and soaks and absorbs into your taste buds. And if you take another bite, does it taste as well as the first one? No, because your taste buds are full of that richness. A sip of wine with acidity in it is almost like a windshield wiper effect, and it cleanses your palate, and it wakes those taste buds back up so that you get that nice fresh flavor of the cheese every time you take a bite. So that's a great example of parallel matching with the Gruyere and opposite matching with the Brie. Moving on to Pinot Noir, this wine is from a label that we call 7 Daughters. It's something we created. This is the Pinot Noir, and Pinot Noir as a style of wine that's beautiful when it's by itself, and it also happens to be delicious with food. And it also is, in red wine, can be crisp and have nice kind of vibrant acidity. Tannins are not a big thing in Pinot Noir. You want the wine to be very soft and voluptuous and round. And so in the case of this wine and the cheeses, what we have here, a Gouda, a really nice Gouda, not an extra aged Gouda, which can be very nutty and sort of complex. And then this simple cheddar, which is an aged cheddar, has wonderful flavors. And both of those would be sort of a parallel match. The flavors go really well together. And the Pinot Noir has the acidity to cleanse the palate, so you're always tasting the freshness of those 2 styles of cheese. Pinot Noir always has that great raspberry and cherry, just absolutely delicious. And this wine from 7 Daughters has great varietal character, meaning it tastes like what it's supposed to be. It tastes like a really nice Pinot Noir, fantastic value. Moving on to the next wine, this is the Greystone Merlot. The labels on Greystone have antique cork pullers, and those come from a collection at the Culinary Institute of America in Napa Valley. Many of you know the famous Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York. In Napa Valley, they have a beautiful facility at what is called the Greystone Cellar. It was originally the Christian Brothers Winery. And Brother Timothy, who was the winemaker there, had the world's largest collection of antique cork pullers. So we honor that with those labels. Merlot, soft, supple, plummy, sort of cassis and black currant style fruit, not a lot of tannin and not a lot of acidity. It's a low acid red wine. So with the cheeses, Camembert, which you see right here, that's as ripe as it could possibly be, and the softness of the Merlot is a beautiful parallel match. Then, somewhat opposite, is Pecorino, which is one of the great Italian cheeses and one of the great red wine cheeses you could ever experience. Pecorino has a natural ability to just blend perfectly with red wine. It's an absolutely wonderful and delicious cheese. So you have the Camembert opposite, where the wine is just sort of the acidity and the Merlot is helping with the creaminess of that. But then Pecorino has a little touch of saltiness to it, and that brings out an interesting fruitiness in the wine. And that worked really, really well. Moving on to the fourth wine, this is Federalist Zinfandel. We created this label to honor the founding fathers of our country, and this is the 2013 Zinfandel from an area in California called Lodi, California. And Lodi is quite famous for Zinfandel. It was one of the first places Italians moved to when they came to this country in the mid-1800s, and they brought with them vines from Europe and planted them. And so today we still have 100, 140-year-old vines. In the case of the Federalist, it's 40 to 60-year-old vines. So those older vines bring a lot of character to the wine. Zin is a spicy style of wine. It has a really brambleberry, kind of grilled raspberry style that is really great on its own. It's delicious. It has some wonderful oak character to this wine. And then with the cheeses, Asiago is a very interesting cheese, typically used as a crumbly cheese, but it's really great with Zinfandel. It's somehow the spiciness of the wine picks up this really interesting character in the cheese. And then here we have a very simple goat cheese, goat's milk cheese without black pepper or without herbs at all, just straight ahead goat cheese, which sometimes you might use in a salad, sometimes you might just spread it on simple crackers. It's fantastic. It almost makes the fruit in the Zinfandel just pop. They're just fun. It's fun to try these different things. Your mood could affect this, the art, the music you're listening to, the people you're with. Food and wine should be fun, and you should always explore different combinations. And on a given day, you'll just hit on something that just hits the right spot for you. So the idea is to have fun with it, enjoy the wines, try different things. Cheers, and I really appreciate you joining us today. Thank you.